Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something genuinely fascinating, a real economic outlier. While property markets pretty much everywhere else are slowing down, struggling even, there's this one island that's just booming. We're talking about Phuket, and that's Phuket, just so we're all saying it right.
That's absolutely right. And our goal today is to really get under the hood of this property surge in Phuket. Why is it happening? Can it last? And, what does it all mean if you're an investor or maybe just dreaming of that place in the sun? It's quite the story.
Definitely. And to guide us, we're throwing from a really insightful piece called Phuket's Enduring Property Boom, an in-depth look. Now, this comes from Ocean Worldwide. They're a luxury real estate agency. They've been on the ground in Phuket and Koh Samui since 2004, so they really know their stuff.
Deep roots there.
Yeah, and the article's perspective comes via Gail Ovidatien, who handles marketing for Ocean Worldwide. So we're getting, a view from someone right in the thick of it. Okay, so the scene is set. Major markets, U.S., Europe, even nearby Bangkok, they're facing challenges. How is Phuket managing to, buck the trend so dramatically it really does feel like its own little world sometimes?
It absolutely does. And the numbers, well, they speak for themselves. Property consultants, they're reporting rental yields hitting all-time highs. We're talking over 10% per year in some spots. That's quite something in today's climate.
10%. Wow.
And development. It's relentless. It feels like a new condo project is launching practically every other week.
Every couple of weeks. That sounds intense. Is that pace really sustainable?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Sales patterns have more than doubled compared to last year. And remember, last year was already seen as a peak year.
Doubled on a peak?
Exactly.
Right.
And this isn't just a blip. Looking back, property sales used to be about a third of the island's total income maybe 20 years ago. Now, the past 3 years, it's shot up to over half. It shows a real shift in the island's economic focus.
So for you listening, this is more than just a market bouncing back. It's like a fundamental change. It sounds amazing for property values, for investment potential, almost like a gold rush. But yeah, the crucial question comes back. Can this kind of growth really last? Is it a bubble waiting to pop or something more solid?
That is the million-dollar question. And to get towards an answer, we need to look at why it's happening. It's not just, the stunning beaches, though they certainly don't hurt.
Right.
Tourism is absolutely fundamental to Phuket. It's the island's lifeblood. And its recovery after the pandemic has been really strong, very robust. More tourists mean more demand for rentals, for second homes. It pulls in a wider crowd.
Okay, tourism's back. Makes sense.
But it's more than that. There's been some really strategic investment in infrastructure. Take the airport. Big expansion plans are underway. They're aiming for capacity of 18 million passengers a year after 2026.
18 million, that's huge.
It is. And they're adding more direct flights from global hubs. There's a new private jet terminal, plans for another airport entirely, the Phang Nga Andaman one. Plus, they're working on the roads. Things like the Katu Patong Tunnel, the Heroin Monument Underpass, trying to ease that growing congestion.
So it sounds like a serious long-term commitment to making the island easier to get to and get around. That sends a strong signal.
It really does. And you've got the Thai government playing an active role, too. They're offering incentives, like tax breaks for developers, making it simpler for foreigners to invest, and supporting green projects. It all adds up to a pretty welcoming environment for capital.
Okay, so we see the big picture drivers, but let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How are these properties actually performing on the ground? What does the data show?
Well, as we touched on, those rental yields are impressive. Over 10% reported for 2024 by CBRE, Thailand, driven by tourism and all that construction activity keeping demand high.
Right, the yields.
And then there's the absorption rate, basically.
Yeah.
How fast properties are getting snapped up, either sold or rented. It's remarkably quick. Take the standard residences in Bang Tao, a good example. They sold something like 70% of their units within the first few months of launching.
70% in a few months. That's really moving. Does that speed raise any eyebrows, though? Like, could they be building too much too fast, a risk of oversupply?
That's exactly the question the source article brings up.
Yeah.
It's a valid concern. I mean, this fast absorption, it definitely shows huge buyer confidence, right? And developers are confident, too. You see it in the constant stream of new projects launching. Big names like Banyan Group, they're seeing property sales make up more than half their income now. But yeah, all these new launches, inventory is piling up. It's great while demand is high, but if demand falters or if it just keeps building, you could potentially hit an oversupply situation. It's definitely something to watch.
Okay, so high demand, high confidence, but a potential risk there. Now, this next bit I find really fascinating. Who's actually doing the buying? Is it the usual suspects, or is the picture changing?
It's definitely evolving, and this is key. Phuket's always attracted international buyers, sure. Europeans,
Or
Australians,
traditional markets?
right. But now we're seeing a lot more diversity, big interest coming from other parts of Asia, China, Singapore, for example, and even buyers from North America are showing up in greater numbers. This diversification is actually really healthy for the market. It means it's less vulnerable if, say, one particular region's economy takes a hit.
Makes sense. Spreading the risk, essentially.
Exactly. And it's not just international buyers either. There's a noticeable increase in domestic investment. More Thais are looking at Phuket property as a solid investment, maybe for holidays, maybe for rental income, or just banking on price appreciation. That local demand adds another layer of stability.
Interesting. And are their tastes changing too?
Definitely. There's a clear trend towards luxury. Buyers seem increasingly willing to pay a premium for, top quality finishes, amazing views, exclusive facilities. It's becoming less about just buying a condo or a villa and more about buying into a specific lifestyle.
Buying the dream, basically.
Pretty much. And that's pushing developers towards more high-end projects, which in turn affects overall pricing, especially at the top end.
So we've got this boom, major infrastructure changes, trying to keep up. What does this actually feel like on the island? How is all this growth impacting daily life, getting around? Is Phuket managing to cope with its own success?
That's where things get complicated. Improving connectivity to Phuket, the airport, the flights, that's vital, and it's happening. But getting around on the island, that's becoming a bigger challenge.
Ah, the traffic.
Yeah, those road upgrades like the tunnel and underpass, they're needed. But the source material, and frankly anecdotes you hear, suggest traffic congestion is a real growing pain. Travel times have apparently increased by about a third in some areas, and there's still no mass transit system, like a light rail. The smart bus helps, but it covers limited roads.
So getting stuck in traffic jams in paradise, not ideal.
Not ideal at all.
Yeah.
And it's not just roads. This rapid growth puts a strain on all existing infrastructure, water supply, waste management. These systems are scrambling to keep up with demand from all the new residents and tourists. You're starting to hear concerns, especially about waste, from environmental groups. It's a serious balancing act, growth versus livability.
A critical point. Success can bring its own set of problems if not managed well. You mentioned that trend towards buying a lifestyle, especially these branded residences. Can you unpack that a bit more?
Sure, it's a really strong trend. Buyers are definitely paying a premium for properties associated with well-known hotel or lifestyle brands. Why? Well, it offers a kind of guarantee of quality, of service, of certain amenities.
Like hotel living, but you own it.
Sort of, yeah. You often get access to things like concierge services, professional property management, maybe resort facilities, plus that high-end design sensibility. It's buying peace of mind and a certain cachet along with the bricks and mortar. And these projects, they tend to set new price benchmarks, pulling the rest of the market up to some extent.
And this idea of integrated resorts seems tied into that as well.
Absolutely. Think places like Laguna Phuket. The appeal is having everything self-contained, restaurants, shops, spas, activities, all within the complex. It's incredibly convenient, creates that sort of luxury bubble environment that a lot of buyers are looking for.
Makes sense. Are there specific areas seeing the most heat, these emerging hotspots?
Definitely. Bang Tao and Trundle are hugely popular right now. They've got a good mix, some super luxury, some more affordable options, plus good infrastructure, lots of shops, restaurants. They're buzzing. Then you have areas like Rawai and Kamala, also growing fast but with slightly different vibes. Rawai's maybe a bit more laid back, while Kamala's attracting families. Both benefit from tourism, infrastructure improvements, and established expat communities.
Okay, so we've covered the boom, the drivers, the infrastructure, tensions, but no market goes up forever without facing some hurdles. What are the other potential headwinds Phuket needs to navigate?
That's crucial to consider. Beyond the infrastructure strain, which is probably the most immediate internal challenge, there's also just increased competition in the market itself.
Right, all those new projects.
Exactly. With so many developments launching, developers really have to stand out. They need to differentiate themselves through design, amenities, sustainability features, whatever it might be. That puts pressure on pricing, on profit margins. It's not as easy as just building something anymore.
Survival of the fittest, or maybe the most unique.
Something like that. And then, of course, Phuket isn't totally isolated from the rest of the world. Global economic uncertainty, shifts in currency exchange rates, maybe a recession hitting key source markets for buyers.
Right.
All those external factors could dampen enthusiasm and investment.
So it's still connected to the wider world economy.
It has to be. And it's just a basic fact that property markets move in cycles. Phuket's shown amazing resilience defying trends elsewhere, but you can't ignore the possibility of a slowdown or correction at some point. Investors need that awareness.
So given those challenges, the internal strains, the external risks, how does Phuket maintain this momentum sustainably? How does it keep being this attractive place to live and invest without, burning out?
Well, a few things become really important. One is focusing on what happens after the sale. Excellent property management, reliable rental assistance, good maintenance services. These aren't just nice to haves anymore. They build trust, make ownership easier, and actually help manage the impact of all these properties on the island's resources.
So better management of what's already there.
Exactly. And as we just touched on, differentiation is key in this crowded market. Developers who succeed long-term will likely be those offering something genuinely unique. Maybe exceptional design, maybe strong eco-credentials, maybe amenities that really build a sense of community.
Standing out from the crowd becomes essential.
It does. And finally, developers and the island planners need to keep adapting to how people want to live. Lifestyle priorities change. We're seeing more demand for things like integrated co-working spaces, proper wellness facilities, even simple things like being pet-friendly. Meeting these evolving needs is crucial for staying relevant and attractive. It's about building a complete, modern living experience.
Right. It's about anticipating what the next wave of buyers will want. So let's try and bring this all together. Looking ahead, what's the long-term view? What's the outlook for Phuket real estate?
Despite the challenges we've discussed, the long-term outlook still seems remarkably positive. The core appeal just seems to endure. You've got this unique mix. Natural beauty, yes, but also increasingly world-class amenities, its strategic location in Asia, and prices that are still attractive compared to many other top-tier global spots. That combination keeps pulling people in.
And its resilience has been proven recently.
It really has. The fact that it's thrived while other markets stumbled says a lot. That massive tourism revenue, 400 billion baht last year, the article mentioned, provides a huge economic base. Plus, that growing domestic investment adds another layer of strength.
So it's not just reliant on one factor.
No, it's becoming more multifaceted. Phuket's real enduring allure, I think, comes from this whole lifestyle package it offers. Good transport links, yes, but also excellent medical facilities, a big yachting scene, great nightlife, international schools. It's becoming a place you can genuinely live a very comfortable, high-quality life. Add in the arrival of more international brands, the ongoing buzz in areas like Bangtao. It paints a picture of continued demand and, likely, continued value growth.
Okay, so we've really dug into Phuket's property market today. We've seen this incredible boom fueled by tourism coming back strong, major infrastructure spending, and buyers shifting towards luxury and a complete lifestyle package. But we've also acknowledged the real challenges, infrastructure feeling the strain, intense market competition, and those ever-present global economic factors.
Absolutely. So maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. Phuket's story, its resilience, and its focus on creating this integrated high-end lifestyle. What does it tell us about what makes a global destination truly desirable in the future? What parts of this paradise living formula, the blend of nature, infrastructure, amenities, and maybe that brand assurance are going to become the absolute must-haves for savvy buyers and investors around the world going forward? What will define paradise in the years to come?